Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. It's Women's Celebration Month.
It's Women in Horror Month.
It's Women
It's
in
really
Horror
what we're talking about.
Celebration Month. You shouldn't say whore, James.
I have a speech impediment, and I don't appreciate you mocking me.
Wait,
Well,
is it
yeah, but
really
they don't
women?
appreciate you calling them whores either. Bitches
It,
is what they like to be called.
And we are trying to do an episode to honestly celebrate women in horror, and this is how you begin it. And this is why our numbers are down in Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan, it's because they're a bunch of bitches.
I don't know enough to prove you wrong. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying, Uzbekistan, bitches. Jad, what's your
oh,
problem?
don't put me into this conversation. I'm letting you go off, and I'm just going to
No,
sit
you
here.
literally are on the poster for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm not, but I'm not participating in this conversation.
What
Is it
now?
because of your hate of Uzbekistan?
No.
Once
I don't.
again,
I don't think Uzbekistan is a place.
I don't think so either, but I just wanted to say, wrong things. But it's Women in Horror Month,
Yeah.
not horror women, James.
No, I don't enunciate well.
That's okay, James. They all knew what you were talking about, you bastard.
I mean, yeah,
Is that really what it's
yeah.
called? Because I thought when you pitched this to us, James, I thought it
It's
was
Women in Horror Month. Yeah.
okay. I thought it was Scream Queen. I thought you did Scream Queen month.
No, it's
It
women in
was
horror
women in
because
horror.
originally we had talked about it. I don't know if it'll still come together or not, but having either a woman author on the show.
We're waiting for our lady friend author to text us back last time I checked. Does that
Yeah,
sound
and
accurate, gentlemen?
yes,
Yeah.
but we didn't want to miss this. And another way we can do this topic, another way we can
Keep
talk
me
about
popping.
women in horror, in the terror
Women
pictures,
whores.
if you will, is to talk about scream queens. So yeah.
Now,
Oh.
Scream Queens, I scream, you scream. We all scream for some Scream Queens. Let's break that down a little bit. I actually, the only regret I have about doing this episode, because Chad and I were going back because James has been dead and won't talk to us
I
for
have
text
had
messages.
some things going on.
Right. Yeah.
Rehab takes time.
Yeah. Well, all right. I got comebacks, but I'm going to be nice to you since you've already
Why
pissed off
start
everybody
now?
in Quizbekistan. Yeah, that's true. Why start now? I do wish we had a lady on here because I love women. I love hanging out with women. This sounds creepy. I don't mean to, but we love having more women on Bonehead, and we're going to try to keep trying to do a better job with that. But I love the perspectives, and I wish we had a woman on here to talk about Scream Queens, but we just couldn't make it happen. That being said, there is a shit ton of Scream Queens. Let's break it down just for a second before we start talking about the movies. This is a subject that's been talked about ad nauseum for what, 40, 50 years since
Mhm.
Janet Leigh took it in the shower.
Yeah.
I'm asking seriously, right? What?
I would have worded that differently, but yes.
That's because you hate whores
No.
and Quizbecca tan,
Now, see, now you're just making up locations.
basically. But it's a subject that's been talked about ad nauseum. The Final Girl, Scream Queens. There's many books on it. And in all seriousness, I do recommend Carol Clover's Men, Women, and Chainsaws: Modern Gender in the Modern Horror Film. Seriously,
Mhm. I have
it's
a
on its
student.
second or third reprinting. I actually bought it for somebody before I left my last job, who asked, and I was going to give her my copy, and I realized, no offense, but fuck her, I'm not giving her my copy. So I literally ordered a copy from Amazon
Well,
and
no,
gave that to her.
and I have a student that's doing work using that book right now to look at how college is represented in horror films. So
Right.
it's a great book.
So why is the woman abused? Why do women take the most consistent abuse throughout horror films? Why do women love horror films? And why is the woman almost, what would you say in the last 40 years, the triumphant one?
Yeah, I mean, the last girl,
The
right?
last
That
girl, the
last
final
girl came
girl, the
about
Scream Queen.
that came about really. I mean, by the time you get to the 70s, you start to
Hmm.
see the women be the survivors. And I mean, there's some coded sexism even in that, but there's now, matter of fact, Clover, I think, argues in her book that she initially saw it as a bad thing, but she's now revised it a little bit to say, well, maybe there is positivity in that because so many people took it as a good thing. Well, at least the woman survives.
Yes, and a lot of women that I know in the community for which we just did Lexington community. We just did Lexington Comic Con, and shout out to the Greers and all the wonderful people there for letting us do Bonehead Live and also always being just fantastic to us. Wonderful time, great meeting you all. I love hanging out with different people, especially after the shows talking about these things. And a lot of women have found empowerment in that, right? And that's a fantastic thing, and that's wonderful. And we should celebrate that. What we're going to talk about on this episode, now that we've got some of the humor, we're going to out of the way, and we've been way too serious now for 2 minutes. We're going to bring some of the humor back, but we're going to pick three, each of us, of our favorite scream queens. Now, can we go ahead and put a couple aside that I'm assuming that are really, really famous that neither of us are going to pick?
Go for it.
Jamie Lee.
She was on my list.
God damn it.
No, it's okay. I got others. I got others.
No, but I don't want to. All right, well, then I won't do anymore.
No, no, no. It's okay. It's Jamie Lee Curtis is the quintessential. Jamie Lee Curtis's role in Halloween was the quintessential.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that first, Chad. Let's go.
Okay.
Jamie, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think she
Her and her
was.
mother.
Yeah, I think. Well, two different perspectives there because Jamie Lee's mother.
Janet Leigh.
Thank you. I was blanking.
It's okay. She was in a little Hitchcock film about some of these.
Yeah, but
something
she,
about the word, James. What's the word?
she didn't.
Rope.
Bird is the word.
She had a role where
Psycho.
she was murdered, but Jamie Lee Curtis is the quintessential horror film female because she is just a normal girl who is put into an unusual circumstance and overcomes the unstoppable killing force that is put forth in front of her.
Now, you said something very interesting here. And James, please, if you have something to add to this, do, but let's not do a dissertation.
And this is the first and only time Joe will say I said anything interesting.
That's not true. I've said it a couple of times.
Not to your face, though.
In 32 years, I've said it twice.
Yeah.
I said a couple of times. See? You said girl. You didn't say woman.
Because at the time in the movie, she was a girl. She was a high school student.
I am not picking you apart. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Being the difference. She is the quintessential girl. Now, what I meant about James is we could do a whole hour and a half, if not 16 episodes, of the definition between a girl and a woman.
In
Age.
horror films?
In horror films
In
and
horror,
in life.
because I mean, we could do an entire side note
This is
about
with me. I think that's really easy. It's age. It's both females and males. If you're below the age of 18, you're a girl or a boy.
But in
if you're
horror
over that, you're a
films-
man or a woman.
I don't know if
But
it's
in
18.
horror films, there has been that barrier. It's
Mhm.
even played around with in Halloween of sexual activity makes you
Mhm.
adult, whatever
Mhm.
that is.
And
It's-
most of these
and-
people and camp counselors and whatnot are usually over the age of 18, but we do see them as girls. I think it's more complicated. I get what you're saying, Chad, but I think it's more complicated.
But
if we
but
delve
but then
into it.
but I mean, like, even the films that are horror films, but also poke fun at horror. I'm thinking about The Rise of Leslie Vernon, right?
Fantastic movie starring Robert Englund.
But it has that great line, that great scene in it where, spoiler if you haven't seen it, but still watch it if you haven't seen it. But when he just reveals who his victim actually is, his exact line is, "Well, you're a virgin." It's you are not adult yet, so you are my target.
Right. Yeah, sexuality plays into it. Chad's right. Age plays into it, but I think there's more variables. And once again, a lot of people a lot smarter than us have written about this ad nauseum.
It also, I think another reason it pops up in horror, and I agree, I won't go on a dissertation here, but it's world awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's quote unquote,
doe-eyed.
again, yeah, quote unquote, girls aren't going to see it coming, aren't going to see the horror coming as quickly. It's easier to build suspense. And so if you even verbalize it that way of, oh, she's just a girl, as sexist, as biased as that may sound, it also sets the audience up to go, oh, she's inexperienced. She doesn't know the world. That makes her an easier target. It's the same reason why, and we've talked about this before, in Disney films, they kill off the parents because no parent would let their kids suffer that way. So you have to have a reason for the that character to go on the quest or go on whatever. And so I think it's very similar in some ways, that you are just looking at a cheap way, a quick way when you're trying to do a 70 to 90-minute screenplay to go, oh, she's naive.
Right. Yeah. So back to what Chad was saying, Jamie Lee, why do you think she's the quintessential? Because I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was Halloween was the movie that kind of solidified that role in horror. And now I know there was ones before Halloween
And one's after, but I
and
agree.
one, but yeah, but I mean the ones after were in a large part inspired by John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis's collaboration in Halloween. But again, I know there was ones that predated that, but I think that was the movie that captured the essence of a female in horror films.
So I have said this probably before, and
What was
people
your second one? Because go ahead. All my other ones are obscure.
no. Let's save it
Well, so
because
do
I'm
we want
afraid
to
I'll
say
step
that
on
was
somebody.
Chad's first, and then we
No.
can go to Joe?
Hey,
Sorry, I was.
no, Joe can go first. I don't give a shit. I'm going.
No, you
No,
just
but
went.
you just did. Oh my
I
God.
think you're right. I think that worked out right because I'm not done talking about it. Because Jamie Lee not only did
So this is Joe's
Halloween.
pick because Joe's talked more about it than I have.
No, I
He
was just
did
waiting for
it.
you to say something interesting. Chad's not feeling well. We're giving him a hard time. Plus, he's a dickhead. So, but she not only did Halloween, but she also followed it up, and she's also the Scream Queen who crossed over into mainstream films.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was waiting. Yeah,
No, no.
I'm
I
glad
mean,
you're here. I'm glad you are here.
yeah.
So,
So
I mean, and we.
and went back to it.
Yeah, I was about to
I
say, and
will tell
that's
you
it.
why I got distracted when we go to honorable mentions. Remind me to tell you why I got distracted when we
Okay.
go to honorable mentions.
I won't
Is it-
remember, maybe,
Is it
but
the glimmer in my eye?
No, it's something that's playing on the right side of my screen.
it's porn. James.
Oh, you want me to go? You know what? I'm
No,
gonna
I
go
don't
with.
want you to go. I wanted you to finish your thought.
Oh, what am I doing? No. Oh, what? Oh, the point about. No, you're right. Jamie Lee Curtis also proved that, and we've talked about this before. There was a period of time in the 80s when, by and large, if you did horror, it was almost a step below pornography,
Yes.
right? Bruce Campbell has said that.
It's a step above pornography,
Oh,
but
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was not considered. You weren't considered a great thespian.
Lesbian, no.
Um, but she was the exception, right? Because she goes on to do A Fish Called Wanda. I mean, just all these different types of roles, True Lies, and she's able. I, that's one of my favorite lines, and it's a great cliche line too. From Ghost Rider, she's able to walk in both worlds, right? She's
Yeah.
able to do these big blockbusters and then do a horror film, and then also do Virus, and then keep going, keep going. And I think that's really, really what's interesting about her in that way, because she is a scream queen that doesn't get trapped in the screaming, right? I mean, she very much does comedy and action and everything else.
Yeah, and on top of that, this is I don't know. I need to rewatch them. Psycho so much of its time that it is the original slasher, but is it or Halloween the best slasher film ever made? And what I was going to say earlier is that, truth be told, I know people who know me well know this. Slasher is not my favorite horror genre or subgenre of horror. It's the one that's been done to death the most.
You will, and it is like, to your point, it's very rare now that a slasher shocks me. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can enjoy it because I'm like, oh, there's going to be gratuitous kills.
Yeah,
But
that's the
it's
only reason.
it's very rare though that I'm like, oh nope, did not see this coming, did not,
I
Yeah.
probably Scream and maybe Leslie Vernon are the two good
Yeah.
ones that in the last 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing something, but there's not a ton. So my pick is Samara Weaving.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
I was
there was my backup, so I'm glad I was like, oh, I forgot about her, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. So James,
I
Joe,
wondered if somebody would do that
you
because
son of a bitch.
I was
So
afraid you all were going to take mine. So this is great. This is great. Nobody's touched mine yet. Let's go.
So The Babysitter, even though it's directed by Mick G and not the sequel is nowhere near as good.
but the sequel's still good.
Is it? I don't know. It's all right.
I enjoyed it.
It's all right. I liked The Babysitter quite a bit. those people that are annoying in it that I find annoying in other roles, they somehow got them cast to where they're annoying in the correct way that it
What
works for the movie.
I agree.
Like what's her face? I can't think of her name. The one chick who's famous
The
for being famous.
Paris Hilton.
No, I can't think of her name. It doesn't matter. I'm not even gonna bother to look
she's
it
the
up.
cheerleader, right?
Yeah, she's the cheerleader.
Well,
Samara
technically,
Weaving,
she had other roles. She's actually became an Bella Thorne.
Bella Thorne. Yeah. Anyway, moving right along about Bella Thorne or Samara Weaving. I, dude, she's in Guns Akimbo, another
Not a horror film.
fantastic movie. She's in she's in Scream 6, and that's
That
guess is that for our friend Barbara. She's in the opening. Go ahead.
that is a horror film.
That is a horror film. But Ready or Not, it's an Academy Award winning performance in a movie that I
It's
just
amazing.
adore
Yeah,
that
it's
no one
amazing.
talks about. Those guys went on to do that Scream 6 that everybody loves with Samara Weaving that gets killed. Oh, spoiler alert. Those are the guys that gave you Ready or Not. That movie's fantastic. Samara Weaving's fantastic. Everybody in the movie's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
she's one of
she
my
was in
favorite
Bill and Ted, and
actresses.
I thought she was miscast in Bill and Ted. I thought they didn't give her enough to do.
No, they didn't. Yeah, that
As one of the
you're.
daughters, they did
I'm
not give her
agreeing with
enough
you
to
so
do.
far on everything you've said, except the sequel to Babysitter.
I did
But
not know you would be so passionate about the McGee's.
I'm not passionate. I just was like, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a perfect follow up. But no, and this year she's in Azrael, which I'm excited to see too. I'm probably saying that wrong,
Yeah. Meh.
but man, yeah, her role in Ready or Not, I agree with you, Oscar worthy and it's a horror flick, and
Yeah.
I love it.
And if you've never seen that or not, that would go down as one that I know a lot of people like, but I don't hear enough people talking about that. That movie's freaking awesome.
And we
James,
don't hear enough people talking about Samara Weaving. She is a modern day phenom who just needs that one gigantic role.
I agree. I think she's just missed that one gigantic role to get her out there.
Because she's a chameleon. Any role she's in.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna pick a Scream Queen that I honestly thought it might be one of y'all's first ones. So I'm glad it's not because I want to use it. Because she has done the screaming and she has caused the screaming. She's been in
Is it my
everything.
mom?
No, that's more of a moan, really. Anyway,
Oh,
it's she has been in such films, and y'all are going to guess who it is right away. Alone in the Dark, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Critters, Critters 2, The Main Course, Amityville, A New Generation, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Dead End, 2001 Maniac, Snakes on a Plane, 2001 Maniac, Field of Screams, Ouija,
you
The
do it.
Grudge, and the Insidious franchise. Nobody, nobody probably deserves. And by the way, throughout an entire career, she is 80 years old. Lynn
Is she
Shay,
really 80?
80 years old.
Oh
She
my
is an
goodness.
absolute scream queen that has adapted to horror from Alone in the Dark, which is stalkery, slashery, all the way through. Again, she's probably the best thing about the Ouija films. Um,
She's the best thing about a lot of films.
yeah, and it was so funny is hearing her talk. If you've never read an interview with her, she was talking about doing Insidious Chapter 3, and she made the comment that it scared her. Like reading the script, she read the script in her bedroom, and then she finished. She said, "I got up, I checked the closet, I took the script, I put it back in the box, I walked it downstairs, and I locked it in the closet on the first floor, and I would not get it out till it was time to leave the house again." But
But
at the same time, she also plays one of the most phenomenal horror roles of all time.
her role in Kingpin as the landlord.
No, incorrect, sir. You're forgetting that she played the quintessential horror icon, Eleanor Roosevelt, in FDR American Badass.
I was actually thinking of that. She gives Robert Englund a run for his money in 2001 Maniacs, the
Oh
remake.
no, as Grandma Boone or Granny
Yeah,
Boone.
yeah, yeah. She gives him a run for his money. And by the way, I don't know if you all know this, and I love Robert Englund, and he's a nice enough guy actually to meet behind the scenes. I will tell you, he never shuts up, but he's a nice guy. He can overact, and she was giving him a run for his money.
I mean, she's also my demon lover. I mean, there's just too much to give her credit for. She's just great.
I didn't realize she was 80. Why
Yeah.
do we not get her at Scarefest?
Oh, dude. I mean, her and John Aston are ones that are older, and I think the John Aston boat is completely sailed
Yeah,
at this point.
I did not realize she was 80. I thought she was early
But
70s tops.
but I mean, yeah, yeah, and the fact that she's doing 5 to 6 movies a year still, I'm just like, dude, just an icon of horror. That
James,
again,
that's a great pick that I'd never even thought of.
I
oh,
agree. That's the best one so far.
by the way, she's also Helen Keller in Helen Keller versus Night Wolves, which is the unofficial sequel to FDR American Badass. So FYI,
We watched that, didn't we? And it's awful. Am I
I don't
making that up?
remember.
I thought
I
we
don't
watched it.
remember. I don't.
I thought we couldn't get that one that was on demand. I had to pay for it, and I was
Maybe.
like, I'll just buy it on DVD.
I don't.
Um,
I've been drinking.
but I mean, yeah, she just yeah, no, it's just a phenomenal horror actress that also has done other stuff as well. I mean, she's in Going South with Jack Nicholson. Um, but yeah, yeah. Just that's when you all said Scream Queens, I went, it's Lin Shaye. Lin Shaye is my first pick. I knew I
That's
didn't have to do
really
any
good.
research. I didn't have to look at anything. I was like, if you're going just if you view Scream Queens as only as only horror actresses with sex appeal, maybe Lin Shaye's not your pick. But if you're talking about just women that have owned corners of horror as in franchises, Lin Shaye's it.
Chad.
So it's my first pick, right? So my first
No,
pick,
no, this is your second
uh,
pick.
my
14th pick, Chad's on the
my
board.
my first my first pick, because Joe always does. He goes, now this isn't my first pick, but I'm going to talk about blah blah blah. And then he talks about it for 10 minutes, and then we're like, it's not my
I
first
never
pick.
get the chance to talk about anything for 10 minutes. Now, by the way, did you talk about earlier? I
What?
was waiting for a joke.
No,
Keep going.
no. The next one on my list, Jane Levy
Okay.
from
From Evil Dead.
the
Yeah.
Evil Dead remake, Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
Um, Now both of those are from the same director,
Mm-hmm.
which is Fede Alvarez.
Fatty.
Yeah, Fede Alvarez, who just absolutely tortured Jane Levy. Unfortunately, like I mean, just ran her through the ringer in both films, but she pulled off the despair, the pain, and then the overcoming of just insurmountable odds. And I she's done has she done any other horror than those two films?
There's
I
not
don't,
a lot. No. And
but go
and
ahead.
apparently her and he had a little bit of a falling out.
Oh, well,
So,
she's also in a movie called Office Uprisings, which I haven't seen,
mhm.
which is also a horror film. But her role in both of those films, it deserves she deserves credit as a female in horror. I mean, I just Evil Dead alone, I
I
think
agree.
would have skyrocketed her into that this category. Now there are plenty of actresses that came before her. I'm actually going to go farther back for my next pick, um, but for this one, because just if you haven't seen either one of those films, you should take the time to go watch them. And she's just an astounding actress. Now I think she's mostly known now for Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
Mm-hmm.
But when Joe and and I don't know, I don't think James was there
It's
when
because he was off.
we saw the Evil Dead remake. She just blew us away.
No, I wasn't.
Um,
Yeah, I wasn't there.
yeah, and then when Don't Breathe came out again, it was just insane. So that's why when we came up this list, she was actually the first one that came up, and actually Jamie Lee Curtis came second. How insane is that?
Well, I get it. I totally get it. And she is a fantastic actress. And I've said this before, God, I've blown, and by the way, Don't Breathe is a fantastic movie too.
Mm-hmm.
But I've blown the Evil Dead remake penis so often, but it's so true. I tell you, wanted to roll over in my damn grave, and I'm not even dead yet when they announced they're going to be remaking the Evil Dead. And then they started talking about this cast, and I was son of a bitch, they're turning into Scream. And
Yeah.
then that first trailer came out, and I was done. I was like, well, whatever this is, I have got to see it.
Well, and even when the movie
And
starts
because it's
out,
not a remake.
yeah, even when the movie first started out,
Hmm.
like I was already kind of like, oh, I'm going to be disappointed because it just kind of seemed like it was just going to be one of those campy, like people, actors who smell their own farts
Yeah.
when they do their roles.
Actually,
Cheesy.
I
I know
think
what you
most
did.
of them really, as they go through it, even the ones that they've got those caricatures, and as he
Yeah.
tortures them as they go, they
Well, I thought but
see,
initially came
except
out,
for
I
the
was like,
lead male, I think everybody does a really good job.
well, when the movie was starting out within like the first 15 minutes, I'm like, oh no, they're doing I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Hmm.
But thankfully it turned around quickly, and then the performance of Jane just skyrocketed to a whole nother level.
Because she gets to play the good and the bad guy
Yeah, exactly.
and nails them both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it was amazing.
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
Joe, go.
So I'm going to pick somebody whom I've met a couple of times, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing, and who is a legend when it comes to, and please forgive me, anyone out there who's going to stab me for saying this, B movie scream queens. She's in Return of the Living Dead. She's in both of the Night of the Demons. Go ahead.
Night of the Living Demons.
Night of the Living Demons. This should be the shit that we write. Day of the Living Demon. That, all right, someone's going to steal it. Linnea Quigley. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, Linnea needs it not only because of how brave
She
she
needs it.
was.
Joe's like, Joe, yeah, she needs it.
She's so nice. And she owns all those roles, Chad. The first time I met her, she had all those topless photos that she would sign for anyone. And she's not the last person I've seen do that, but there are certain people who don't own that, who won't acknowledge it. And you go to these conventions and they won't talk about certain things that they did. And they get upset when you talk to them about that. Linnea loved being a scream queen. She owned it. And she worked in some trashy movies. Okay, I was waiting for some
Vice Academy
Vice
Part Two.
Academy, but I was thinking more about Creepazoids, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. She's in Silent Night, Deadly Night. She has that wonderful murder scene where she's murdered on the deer rack. Anybody out there? Is this thing on?
What is
Is
it?
this thing on?
Say it. Say it again. What was that?
And she's murdered on the rack, like the antlers, the deer rack thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The barn. I could go on and on. Actually, I've never seen Savage Streets. Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball-orama. I, to me, I know when I think of Scream Queen, Jamie Lee is the quintessential idea, but when I think of B movie Scream Queens, to me it's Linnea Quigley.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I just owns it, been there. What do you got that smile on your face for, James?
I was saying it's not Linnea Quigley, and it was my next one. So
Linnea is
Oh
your next one?
no.
no,
I do not think of Linnea Quigley because I think of the one that I was going to do
Who's
next. So
yours?
we well wait real quick. Back to Linnea quickly though. We need to find 1995's release of Assault of the Party Nerds 2, The Heavy Petting Detective.
Ooh.
And it's a
I'm
rip off of it's a Ace Ventura.
I'm ready to do it.
Joe, you forgot she was in Innocent Blood.
She's an innocent blood.
She's a nurse.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot. Boy, that is a hidden movie because you can't get it.
Yeah.
Innocent Blood, John Landis, James.
I want to talk about my immediate thought. You say B movie Scream Queen. I do not go to Linnea Quigley. I go. I guess you could say a little bit older. Um, she played Vincent Price's wife twice in an uncredited role.
Oh, shocker. James picks an old one.
What?
Oh,
Ooh.
you would pick her
Joe,
too,
I
because
have to be snooty and pick a movie before 1980.
you would pick her too, probably still to this day, because I'm talking about Caroline Monroe.
Oh my God, I'd pick her right in front of you and everyone else on Flag Day.
Exactly. Caroline Monroe is in Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, which I still say deserves to be remade with yeah, but played Mrs. Fives in the Abominable Doctor Fives in an uncredited role twice. Um, Dracula AD 1972. I mean, it's just and in any movie she's in is better for her being in
I
it.
don't know that she's a B movie screen queen. Maybe Linnea is the C if she's the B.
Well, she's also in Maniac. Is probably the one that most people today would know her from.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, her.
But
Yeah. In front of
Yeah, yeah.
everyone, Chad, on Flag Day.
the youths today with their MTVs may know her as the woman from the Adamant Goody Two Shoes video, which she is also not hard on the eyes in. Um, but it's she.
I'm
I would
surprised.
say,
I'm surprised James didn't say The Spy Who Loved Me, but go ahead.
well, that's not a scream queen. That's a Bond girl.
I was a
Another
Bond
example,
girl.
though, to your point, Joe, about the use of the term "girl" for women of any age. Because Monica, what's her name? Bellucci,
Hmm.
Bellucci played the oldest Bond girl in her when she was in her 40s. Um, but I
I
digress.
didn't realize
But no,
she was the oldest Bond girl.
yeah, yeah, she was 40 something when she did it
Hmm.
with Daniel Craig. But
Yeah.
Caroline Monroe is just a, like, I'll be honest, my mind
Hideous
went to
sub
her.
creature.
Um, my mind went to her because of Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, but she did all sorts of horror films. Matter of fact, she actually has done some recently. Um, 2023, 2020, yeah. And she actually has one coming out, not a horror film,
1984's Don't
but
Open Till Christmas.
yep, yeah.
Do do
Which I've made
do.
vague references to. It's about
But
somebody
that's
that's killing
nine
anybody
months
dressed up as Santa.
away.
Um, but no, if you've never, I mean, yeah, Caroline Monroe is a great scream queen.
Yep.
And I would say most of her stuff falls into the B movie area. Um, oh, Joe Useless, or not Joe. Your name is Chad. Chad. Uh, Useless trivia. Do you know what she turned down to do this the Bond film?
No.
She turned down. She was going to. She was offered Ursa in the Superman.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Ooh,
and she
that
turned
makes
it
sense
down.
though. They
She
clearly had
turned
a
it.
type that they're going for.
Yeah, she turned it down because she was. They said you can do this or do Bond, and I will admit, as much as a comic book fan as I am, I
I
would
would
have
have
done.
put,
I would have done Bond.
yep,
I
same
mean,
here.
there's immortality, and then there's whatever that is, which goes beyond immortality, that you'll have an action figure made of you 100 years after you die if you're in a Bond film. So
Oh,
Caroline Monroe, that would be
oh,
that's my second choice.
All right.
my last pick. So I saved this one for last.
That's what you do with
Simply,
the last pick.
that's how math works, Chad. Thank you for
I'm
playing.
sorry, Chad, but I feel like
if
you
my
would have done it to us.
if my brain was running at full capacity,
Why
Yeah.
would it start now?
I would sit here and cry because you are so mean to me all the time, and I'm nothing but sweet because everybody loves me.
I know.
Huh.
I am
I'm the bonehead that people are amazed is still here.
my
Why did
God,
that guy come back?
I think the fever just kicked into the delusional phase. My brain's melting inside my head because that statement just came out. Guys, I got to talk about Caroline Williams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
she's
I,
perfect.
I actually think God, we shouldn't judge women or men on their looks. This is a thing I can get into now for an hour, but we do. And I think she's better looking now than she was as Stretch in the 80s.
Oh, you think?
To me, maybe
Okay.
it's because she's so girl-like and now she's does that make sense? And
Yeah.
I'm also old as hell, but I think if she doesn't look better, she looks just as good.
But no, her role now she's done a lot of horror. A lot of horror. I mean, she's in Renfield as of recently. She was in Shark. She was in one of the Sharknadoes.
I
I'm
forgot
trying
she
to
was
think.
in Zombies Halloween too, till the
Yeah,
other day.
she's in Tales of Halloween. She's in the Hatchet films. She's
Mhm.
also in Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 as Dr. Maple. But it goes on and on and on. But I think her role in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is what put her onto this career path. And just, you know, when you think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, I think her role as just going full into, she starts out fine and she's fine through most of the film. She's just a DJ,
Mhm.
but the last part where they're just absolutely torturing her, you see her just have a complete 180 and go into this meltdown of this tortured woman, that the other one didn't capture. And she does it so well, that transition.
Um, No, I don't know. I don't yeah, she does a great job. I don't know that the other one. Are you talking about the original Texas Chainsaw?
I'm talking about the original, and I'm also, I'm thinking of
You
I
lose me
don't know
on
about
that
Texas.
one.
Well, they're just normal teenagers, blah blah. But this one's actually she's actually like a hard hitting reporter, a DJ who's just there trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and then she just goes full tilt into this awful torture. I just the other take the female character who's the one who plays the character in the part in the original. Help me here. I can't
Shit, I don't. I
remember her
actually
name.
was about to say it and forgot because I had she's she's
Hmm.
passed on now. And Marilyn
I'm
Burns. I
blanking.
met Marilyn actually.
Melon Burns. She does a great job. Don't get me wrong. I mean, in terms of when she gets tortured, that performance is gut wrenching. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but I think overall Carolyn Williams does a better job as a character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Hmm.
And it could be argued too that Jessica Biel in the remake did an astounding job. But again, I just don't think she holds anything to Carolyn Williams in terms of her
It's been
performance.
so
And she
long
continues to do so long since what?
since I've seen the first Texas Chainsaw. Now you got me pondering.
Well, let's go back and rewatch them. And I'm probably wrong on this because
So
it's been a long
much
time since
stuff to
I've
watch.
seen them.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen them too.
But when we decided we were going to do this, this was one of the names that came up. The three names that came up off the top of my head was Karen Williams, Jane Levy, and Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know why Samara Weaving didn't come up because I'm like, Joe stole that one. I'm glad he stole it because I thought about it right before we started recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love Carolyn Williams.
My next one is there's three really good character actresses, and I want to talk about them all, but I can't. And then there's a fantastic, but I can't use her either. I'm saying Sarah Paulson.
That's a good one.
And the
Yep.
reason being is because of all the American horror. Of course, she was also in Ratched. But just because of all the American horror shows, and I know actually, we're not doing Good Movie Monday. Got whatever we want to. It's our show.
She was
But
also wasn't she also the ghost daughter in American Gothic?
Yes,
The
I would
ghost is
say
Mhm.
Sam Raimi produced American Gothic.
American
Yes.
which is an
Gothic, I
amazing
forget that
God.
she's in that. You're
And
absolutely right.
and her that first episode where she's murdered. It's gut wrenching. I remember it being gut wrenching. God, now I want to go back and watch that show. Why doesn't it on DVD?
I don't know.
Same reason Brimstone's not. They bring
I
joy to
know,
our life and rob us of it.
right?
But the cool
Somebody give us Brimstone and American Gothic on DVD.
Ooh, ooh.
Me and James are
Two,
been fine.
yeah, yeah. Actually, Chad, I thought of you. I bought a four series set. It's got four television series on it that only lasted one season. And when I was buying it, science fiction ones, but when I was buying it, I said, why can't they do this with the horror ones
Yeah.
that I love? Why can't, why? I mean, anyway, Joe, were you saying something?
No, no.
nothing of
Let's
importance. Sarah
can James just
Paulson.
we just want to reminisce more about American Gothic and Brimstone.
If only
Someone's at
you
the door.
motherfuckers had some sort of avenue, some sort of medium, if you will, some sort of way of being able to express yourself and express your anger about pop culture and pop culture events and the pop culture that you digest, and you could
Dude,
talk about it while other
We're
people's either
trying.
listened or watched it. If
We're
only you
trying,
had that
I've
avenue.
taught, I've
and we're
talked
trying, but
about
some other
Nearly
fucker wants to talk
Departed
about
for
Sarah Paulson.
I've talked about Nearly Departed for years, and I still ain't got that on the DVD. And I don't think John Cleese is going to join my petition either.
I
Wait,
don't
isn't
think
Nearly
Eric Idle
Departed?
is.
Fair.
He shit on the show himself.
I know.
So, Sarah Paulson, American Horror Story.
She's just
I
a
stopped.
talented actress. Period.
She is a very talented actress, but I stopped watching it many years ago because it just is so convoluted and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
there's so many good actors in that show, and I understand how he gets them. Ryan, whatever his name is. I understand because they get to do something different every season, and she kills it every season, whether she's the good guy, whether she was the bad guy, whether she was the blah, blah, blah. She is amazing in every season. And Sarah Paulson, to me, even though she hasn't done a ton of horror films, although she is in Serenity, she gets killed by Reavers at the end. Not a horror film, but I imagine dying by Reaver would be her fairly horrific. God, is she not just amazing at that?
Mm-hmm.
I, she was wonderful as Marsha. I want to call her Marsha Warfield, but I know that's not it. Marsha, I can
Ratchet.
never remember the lady from the OJ, the People versus OJ was a really good
Oh,
show.
Marsha Clark.
Marsha Clark, yeah. She played Marsha Clark, and it's a really good show. And she was fantastic. Just anything she's in is better because of her. Like we were talking about with great character actors that we've talked about here on several times. So I think she is a legitimate scream queen because American Horror Story is very important to a lot of different people.
Yep.
James, let's skip you and go to honorable mentions.
Dude, I'm torn because I'm torn between two, but I'm just going to say Barbara Crampton. I'm going to say
I
Barbara
almost
Crampton.
said Barbara Crampton too, and I problem was is that as much as I like her, I've never actually got to meet her, believe it or not.
Well,
She is
court
one of
orders
those,
are a thing.
would you say?
Court orders are a thing.
Court orders are a thing. She is, I mean, she's in a lot of 80s movies that are really good.
Well, and so I'll be honest. I was torn. You know who I was torn between,
No.
and this will lead. We can use this to lead into honorable mention because Barbara Crampton. If you don't know who Barbara Crampton is, she's in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game that came out last year.
She's also in something called Jacob's Wife that we've interviewed the writers
Oh,
for.
I know. I just want to
Or
say most people don't realize she's done a lot of video game work. She's Back for Blood. It's Barbara Crampton. So if you're not a gamer, she also pops up in the Creep Show modern TV series. But as
Mhm.
Joe was pointing out, Jacob's Wife, which is really good. And again, we've talked about this, interviewed people that worked on it. The fact that she really has reinvented herself for all these different roles that are still horror, but I mean, she's in Tales of Halloween, uh, Lords of Salem.
You're next. She plays the mom in You're Next.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just Castle Freak.
I was going to say you
Um,
have yet to mention the other two Lovecraft
Okay, so
films.
we rewatched Castle Freak and I was not impressed.
I know I
Oh
wasn't
no,
either.
it's off.
Reanimator and Chopping Mall, both of which we've
Let's
interviewed the
not
people
put
behind
them
Chopping
both in
Mall.
the same sentence, though.
Um, but anyway, and then she also does production work, but she's a scream queen. But so I can lead us into our honorable mentions. I'll
No,
start.
no,
Oh, go ahead.
because no, because you just never mentioned From Beyond, and it's driving me crazy. I'm like, what is he going to say From Beyond?
From
I wasn't
Beyond.
going. I wasn't going to. I was going to leave that in the beyond.
Oh, I was
Um,
like, okay, when is he going to say Reanimator? When is he going to say From Beyond?
Now, the other one I was torn with,
I'm calm now. I'm calm.
the other one I was torn about and trying to
Serenity
figure out
now.
um,
Mhm. Thank God I'm
was
playing. Thank God I'm playing whales singing in my headphones while you talk.
Why would you
It's
be
so
doing
calming.
that? You
I was torn.
don't.
The other one that I was torn with was the one I literally was coin flipping between with Barbara Crampton was Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's one of my honorable mentions. That's where I was going, but
And
I really wanted to talk to her. But Adrienne Barbeau, some odd reason I don't see her as a scream queen as
and
much as she was just a,
and Dee Wallace. Most people think of her as the mom from ET, but she definitely has some scream queen cred.
yeah, I agree. Chad?
My honorable mentions are Patricia Arquette.
Oh, that's a good one I
Um,
didn't think about.
yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Part 3, and there's a ton. She's done so much horror. The only Stigmata. She did a great job in
Oh
Stigmata.
yeah, Stigmata is good. Most people
Uh,
don't talk about it.
nope. But I mean, she's just an amazing actress, period. But her, when it's just one of those things where you see Patricia in any movie she does great, but she especially does great in horror. Now my other honorable mention, she's only done one horror film to mention to that I can remember. God, the sorry people, my brain is I'm really really sick. Um, I forgot what I was going to say. So what? This is why, because now I'm back on her on my right side of the page, and it's playing a profile of all of her films, and I keep getting distracted by her. Krista Allen.
Krista Allen?
Krista Allen. Her
Oh,
role,
now, go
her
ahead.
character in Feast is just phenomenal.
And I joke about having crushes. I don't really Don't.
No, I have a crush on Krista
I
Allen.
kind of have a crush on Krista Allen. Yeah.
Krista, the two that you could actually say, Chad, you have a crush on them, Krista Allen and Carla Cugino.
Yeah, I would. Yes, yes. Not actually. I'm a little bit better with Carla over the years, but Krista Allen, if I met, I would try not to stumble over my words.
Yep.
Okay, my honorable picks. The other one I wanted to, and I can never say her name correctly, so please don't yell at me. Vera Farmiga,
Yeah.
Yep. She
just a talented actress, no matter what she does, but has done so much horror because of The Conjuring.
her rolling up in the air is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, she breaks my heart and Clooney's. Why did you
Yeah.
do that to Clooney? Yeah, and my other honorable mention, I know we'll get shit if we don't say stuff. There's a couple of these people on this list, gentlemen, that I've had to deal with behind the scenes where I'm like, I don't want to mention you. Is that, am I being a dick?
No, I don't.
No, that's why I wasn't. There's certain other people I won't mention.
I mean, Heather Langenkamp, I've never gotten to meet. I would love to meet. I think she deserves her credit, but uh all right, I'm going to say this name and go. I know she's in a ton of things. I know she's a scream queen. I don't ever need to meet Danielle Harris again. But I know there's a lot of you out there who are huge fans. And one last, she's a friend of the show. She's been on the show. I know I'm going to get shit for not saying Nev Campbell because Barbara loves Scream, but she's just not what makes the Scream engine go.
Well, yeah, but I think we should also acknowledge, because we probably should admit, I don't mean to shock anybody. If you haven't taken your heart pills today, gentlemen, go ahead and take them. We're middle-aged.
We're middle-aged.
There is a new upcoming, and these are films that we've watched, but I
Well,
think
we did Samara Weaving.
well, my point is, though, there's new Scream Queens I think that are definitely we should mention. So to your point, I wanted to throw out as honorable mentions this new wave, which to me would probably be Mia Goth,
Yeah,
Jenna Ortega.
yeah.
Is starting to get there, and a little bit actually, I guess, on the cusp would be is it pronounced Maika Monroe? Maika, Maika.
Yeah, I saw her on some lists. I do have to say, I thought about Mia Goth. I actually like Mia Goth. I think she's a good actress, and I loved her. X to me is generic, but I did enjoy Pearl.
Yep.
I still don't understand the obsession with X, but I did enjoy Pearl.
I think
Chad agrees
X.
with me on that. I was like, this is it's not bad. It's a well-made generic horror film.
Well, I was about to say I hadn't seen it for some time, because people talked about it. Matter of fact,
The best
Curtis,
part about X was Jenny Ortega.
if you're listening to this, Curtis, you had mentioned it, and I
So
hadn't got to see it for a while, and it's only been about 2 months ago. I was sitting on the couch and it came on, like it was like, oh, this is available to watch through Amazon or Max or something, and I was like, well, yeah, and I was like, Curtis said it was good, I'll watch it, and I think your assessment's fair. It is, but it is to be that it's really well done. Like everything from creepy old granny lady to we've all seen it before.
yeah,
But if it's somebody once said this about another film, and I forget what film they said about her, I can give them credit. But it may be formulaic, but it's like hearing Beethoven played well. You know it's Beethoven, but it's played well, and it's because of the people in it.
yeah, and she's very talented. She's very
Yep.
talented. So I she gets shit on by some people, by some hate, but that's okay. I listened to that. There's clearly a whole. I didn't know till I did the Bluey panel this past weekend that there's a whole subgenre of people on Reddit who just hate on Muffin. Don't ask. Google it later.
Who can hate muffins? You got your blueberry muffins, you got your
Now
chocolate muffin.
Muffin's a
Yeah.
dog, little girl
But,
dog.
oh my
So
God, they make dogs into muffins?
Also, James, knowing you and the
Yeah.
fact that it's my favorite, you did not say banana nut first. I'm just astonished.
banana nuts your favorite muffin?
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
enjoy it.
What
Now
the
it could be worse.
fuck?
Hold on. Would it be worse, Joe, if he went, no, Bran. Bran's the only muffin I'll eat.
I think it's
Mr.
what he needs to eat. Have you been
Mr.
around
P-
the smelly fuck?
Mr. Pibb bread. That's the only thing
That's my
he
favorite.
likes.
That's my favorite muffin.
Coke.
You know, Mr. Pibbs only pop I can drink.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. We are quoting an obscure film.
Every time, by the way, I drive by, as I get closer to Mississippi, Pib Zero becomes more common. And every time I stop at a gas station and they have one, I'm like, well, I got to get me a Pib Zero. And I think of that line every time. Well, Pib Zero is the only Coke I drink.
The only Coke I drink. Yes. All right. Well, anything else to add to this, gentlemen? We wrapping up so Chad can go die of the measles?
There are a ton of other Scream Queens. If you disagree with our list or think, oh my God, you forgot, please actually go to YouTube
comments.
or SoundCloud. Leave comments, call us out. I mean, Carolyn Monroe was obviously the number one choice, or should have been, but no, there's a lot of women that have worked in horror. The month of March is Women in Horror Month. Horror month. So that's why we did this episode. Hopefully, we will have a female guest soon, and we'll talk about women writing the terror pictures or the terrors, and we'll go from there. But that's where this episode came from, generally speaking.
Yep.
Yay, women! Keep writing, keep starring in, keep making horror.
Oh,
please.
Real quick. Up and coming. She's been on the show, and I'm sorry. And her episode's actually one of our most popular episodes. Jessa Daisy. For the people out there who are doing it for zero money or a little bit of money, bless you. Keep doing it. Shout out to her.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. This has been Bonehead Weekly. Horrors.